The fluorescent lights of the 24-hour diner buzzed overhead as Sarah Mitchell sat alone in the corner booth, staring at the divorce papers spread across the table. Her coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but she couldn't bring herself to leave. Outside, the city slept, but her mind raced with questions she couldn't answer. How would she tell her teenage daughter that everything was falling apart? How would she afford the apartment on her teacher's salary? How had 15 years of marriage dissolved into signatures on legal documents? She pressed her palms against her eyes, fighting back tears she'd been holding in for weeks. The bell above the door chimed, and she quickly wiped her face, pretending to be fine like she always did. A man walked in, his clothes covered in paint stains, exhaustion written across his face. He ordered coffee at the counter, and when he turned around, their eyes met for just a second. Something flickered in his expression, recognition maybe, or understanding. He nodded politely and took a seat 2 booths away. Sarah tried to focus on the papers again, but her hands were shaking too much to hold the pen. She heard footsteps approaching and looked up to find the stranger standing beside her table, holding a fresh cup of coffee. He set it down gently without a word, his eyes kinda tired. "Looks like you could use a warm one," he said quietly. "The old one's probably ice cold by now." Sarah was taken aback. She opened her mouth to politely decline, but something in his voice stopped her. It wasn't pity. It was something else. Understanding, perhaps. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded and started to walk away, but then paused. "Whatever you're going through," he said without turning around, "you're stronger than you think. I can tell." She watched him return to his booth, confused and strangely comforted. Who was this person? Who could see through her carefully constructed walls? An hour later, as Sarah finally gathered the courage to sign the papers, she noticed the man was sketching something on a napkin. When he got up to leave, he walked past her table and left the napkin behind. On it was a simple drawing of a sunrise breaking through storm clouds. Underneath, in neat handwriting, it said, "Every ending is just a different kind of beginning. Trust the process." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face, but this time they weren't just sad. They were something else. Relief, maybe doubt or hope. 3 months passed. Sarah had moved into a small apartment with her daughter Emma. Money was tight, but they were managing. She'd started going to that same diner every Friday night, finding comfort in the routine, though she never saw the stranger again. Until one ordinary Tuesday afternoon at school, Sarah was setting up her art classroom when the principal walked in with a visitor. "This is James Rivera, our new art program coordinator. He'll be working with our teachers to expand the arts curriculum." Sarah looked up and froze. It was him, the man from the diner. James's eyes widened in recognition, and a slow smile spread across his face. "We've met before, haven't we?" he said. "The diner. About 3 months ago." Sarah felt her cheeks flush. "Yes. You gave me coffee and a drawing when I really needed both. Thank you for that." Over the following weeks, they worked together on the art program. Sarah learned that James had lost his wife to cancer 2 years earlier and had spent months barely surviving, painting through his grief in that same diner night after night. He understood rock bottom because he lived there. One evening, as they organized art supplies in the classroom, James spoke quietly. "That night at the diner, I almost didn't say anything to you. I thought maybe you wanted to be alone, but then I remembered sitting in that same booth 6 months earlier, wishing someone, anyone, would tell me I'd be okay." Sarah turned to him. "You were in pain too. I could see it in your eyes. That's why your kindness meant so much." He smiled sadly. "Broken people recognize each other, I think. We see the cracks because we have our own." As spring arrived, Sarah's daughter Emma began taking art classes that James taught after school. She blossomed under his encouragement, creating pieces that expressed feelings she couldn't put into words. One day, Emma ran up to Sarah after class, holding a painting. "Mom, look what Mr. Rivera helped me make. It's us, our new beginning." The painting showed the figures standing in front of a small apartment, the sun rising behind them, breaking through storm clouds. Sarah's breath caught. It was the same image James had drawn on that napkin months ago. That evening, James stayed late to help Sarah clean up. She finally asked the question that had been on her mind. "Why did you draw that for me?" That night at the diner, James looked out the window at the sunset. "Because someone drew something similar for me once, when I needed it most. A stranger in a hospital waiting room, the night my wife died. He told me that even though I couldn't see it yet, there was still light coming." He was right. Sarah felt tears well up. "You passed it forward." He nodded. "And now you're doing the same. Emma told me you've been volunteering at the community center, teaching free art classes to kids who can't afford them. You're giving others what you once needed." That's how healing works. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the school auditorium as Emma's artwork was displayed in the district art show. James stood beside her, and she realized that somewhere along the way, he'd become more than a colleague or a friend. He'd become family. Emma ran up to them, her face glowing. "Mom, 3 people want to buy my painting." Sarah hugged her daughter tight. "That's because it's beautiful, sweetheart. Just like you." As they walked out into the warm evening air, Sarah thought about that night in the diner. How a cup of coffee and a simple drawing from a stranger had been the first light in her darkness. How that stranger had been fighting his own battles but still found the strength to offer hope. She'd learned something profound. We don't heal alone. We heal through small acts of kindness from people who understand pain, because they've survived it too. And sometimes, the stranger who saves you becomes the person who walks beside you into your new beginning. If you believe that broken people can help heal each other, that kindness creates ripples we can't predict, and that every ending truly is a new beginning. Like this video, share this story, and subscribe, because we all need reminders that hope finds us in the most unexpected places through the most unexpected people.